The internet was originally created by a government defense agency, but it quickly became a platform for the growth of a new industry worldwide, offering a wide range of attractive products and services. As the web became popular with hundreds of millions of users, intelligence agencies like the NSA decided to use it for its own purposes. An instrument for global communication soon became a tool for massive spying, part of a surveillance industrial complex.
So when you arrive in the United States in a lot of airports these days, it's not just a passport agent that looks at your passport. There's a camera that can take your picture to confirm your identity.
Welcome to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, one seat of world power. Rest assured, all of the people out here are under constant video monitoring somewhere.
You know, it's sunny, it's hot here outside the White House, but it's hard to get people to tell you how they feel about the spying that's going on. Some may be afraid to speak. Others say, I can't tell you anything because I'm on vacation, so I can't think about it while I'm on vacation. Others were much more clear about their opposition to NSA spying.
It's illegal. We have rights to privacy, whether it be in public or on our computers or on our phones. The government doesn't have to spy on us. It needs to stop.
And yes, yet they're doing it big time, aren't they?
Yep.
So
you can't drive through a traffic light without having 10 cameras watching you. I mean, do we not have some right to privacy, even in public? I think we do. I think our government's gone way left and way socialist.
I don't feel good about this. You know, there's a joke now that says the chancellor changed just her number of telephone. But without joke, it is not a good thing. One should know who are your friends, and one should know who are not your friends.
We're trying to get some people's reaction to the scandal about the NSA spying on people. If you're worried about it, concerned about it.
Well, if you're not doing anything wrong, you should have nothing to hide.
Do I mind if they listen in on my conversations? Not a bit, because I don't have anything to hide.
Do you know that statement, you have nothing to fear, you have nothing to hide? The very statement, you have nothing to fear if you have nothing to hide, was a statement directly attributed to Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi minister of propaganda.
Hey, gang. Interesting show today. As I said before, we're going to do intros like that I think are going to be interesting, certainly geared towards the episode that we're doing. Good morning, Ken. Was that not... Are you not on Instagram anymore? Or was that you? Is that you on Instagram? Superfan Ken checking in, as he does every day. But today I'm going to tell an interesting story. And maybe we'll go 2 hours into it. It's next week that every day is 2 hours. We'll see how today goes. I'm not going to be in a rush to get off. I'm always in a rush to get off, but okay. So you're back with us here on your normal. Well, checking in on Instagram just because didn't want to miss anything. That's my guy. Well done. Excellent show yesterday. Welcome some new fans. And at one point, I won't say when, or with whom or anything like that. It's not necessary. And it wasn't even yesterday. But I was having a call with someone on the phone. And as journalists like us do, we talk about some interesting things. And we were just talking for the longest time. No issues with the call whatsoever. When the conversation got interesting, is when we had difficulty with the call. A good while into the call was when the first issue happened. And it was that type of disconnection, like when somebody hangs up, it was click. Now, when you start to lose, is what I meant to say. When you start to lose connectivity, when the signal starts to go bad, it starts to go bad. It doesn't go from 0 to disconnected. And that's because the signal weakens. Even as a digital signal, it weakens. It doesn't die. Unless, of course, it's killed. My associate and I were talking, and as I said, when the conversation began to get interesting, that's when we experienced our first disconnection. We each waited because one thought the other's phone died. So we kind of walked ourselves through the process, take to the usual spot when we're home or wherever it is that we're at, in the car, wherever, plug the phone in, let it turn back on, and then call back. ABS 1027, got an interesting story we're talking about today. Wondering who else is listening besides just you and folks on Instagram. And we're not on Chatter yet. I might not make it to Chatter today. I probably won't make it to Chatter just because we're already started and the big ones are. I did this intro video and I edited it to one video, the different clips. And I tried to upload it to Restream, knowing that perhaps it'll be a little faster that way and we won't have the lag. Ken, was there any lag during the intro today? Anybody? Let me know in the chat, please. So my associate and I are talking and our conversation begins to get interesting. And we'll just say, per DC standards. Now, not interesting on the level of information was leaked. Government information, probably top secret, although that's been disputed publicly to me on Facebook. We'll talk about that today too. But yeah, well, that's kind of where I'm going with this. I think you're figuring it out already. Ken says, I've always wondered if my calls are listened in on. Okay, so you're saying there was lag during the video that I played? Yeah, so I'm working on a broadcast application that we would use, that other content creators and radio and TV stations would use for broadcasting to multiple media platforms so that your desktop doesn't have to absorb that data, but also so that there is no lag, no stuttering in the video, etc. If I would have been able to upload that to Restream, then it would have been less likely to do so because we're using their servers to go to the internet, not my desktop. But we're working on it, and I'll figure everything out. So we're having our discussion. We get a little bit into it, and click. It was at the point where our discussion became, should I say, DC noteworthy. It's the kind of conversation you would hear in DC because everybody in the government, or everybody in DC, works in the government, pretty much. But also, it's the kind of conversation people in government have. Yeah, on a certain level, it's gossip. But when it's about government, it's likely also an issue. It's likely also what the FCC would say, or what the FCC would call objectionable. Not in nature of obscene or not workplace friendly, but that very purpose is that it is about the workplace. It is about government. And as such, some people in government might not like what you have to say. And so they stop you from saying it. Multiple times during this particular conversation, my associate and I were disconnected. After the first one, and we realized neither one of us hung up on the other, nor did our phones die. We knew what it was. We knew that our signals were not suddenly weakening, but that they were suddenly killed. Multiple times during the conversation, the hour-long plus time that we spent together, mostly catching up about the old days, but also discussing some that are new. The days, that is, more recent. And then we were disconnected again. And again, it wasn't a disconnected like I'm hearing my associate and I'm responding. Hey, say that again. You were a little garbled. You cut off. Nothing like that. It's we were cut off. Call's over. If you know anything, if you know what we knew, dealing with things like telecommunications, network intrusions, and the like, you know there's only one way a call like that ends so abruptly. And that's because the call was ended abruptly. And when we obviously realized it wasn't either of us, that simply confirmed what we suspected soon after the first termination of our call, that we were having a three-way. And not the three-way two old friends someday strive to have. You've got to be kidding me. Let's see, what are we at? It's 11:17 here in the East Coast. 8:17 out on the left coast. 3:17 p.m., 2 days before they make the switch and move an hour forward. 16:17 in Berlin, the city you might think this would be happening in back in the old days. 17:17, and soon today, Tel Aviv and Israel move forward an hour. 17:17 in Tel Aviv and Israel. It's also 17:17 in Gaza and Kyiv, who moves forward in 2 days. 18:18 in Moscow. 11:18 in Perth. And 2:18 Friday in Sydney and Melbourne. This is Up the Middle. I'm going to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to tell you more about that story without giving too much personal information. And we're going to look further into government surveillance and its position within the Fourth Reich. This is the Mastiff Media Network. We'll be back after this. What are you doing later? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to the gym, but not just any gym. Momentum Fitness and Wellness. Walk right up to the door. There's a QR code on the door. You can sign up right there. You've got no excuse. But not only that, their equipment is amazing. It's kept up well. It's expanded. There's stretching area. There's CrossFit. There's hardcore training, a dedicated area for stretching, dunk tanks, sauna, everything you need to get that Hernando beach body or keep your Clearwater beach body. You can train with your shirt off, you can scream, you can yell, and you won't be intimidated either. Go to Momentum Fitness and Wellness on US 19 in Bayonet Point, Jasmine Estates. Build the momentum at Momentum Fitness. All right. A little bit of a delay getting on today. As I went live with the video, I saw that there was a big exclamation point in my list of channels that we broadcast to. I checked it out, and turns out Rumble needed to be refreshed. As it happens, it periodically cuts you off from your connection here on Restream, and that's just to make sure that it's still you broadcasting to it. So I just checked out my puppies. So, speaking of which, Rumble is one of the locations. You can go up the middle. You can, let me see here. I'm going to move some stuff around. You can register yourself to be a podcaster, content creator on Rumble, or just as someone who views more conservative information, because let's be honest, we know Rumble is on the conservative side of the house, and that's fine. We're on both sides. We've got real estate all over the content creator, independent journalist ecosystem. Go to rumble.com/register/Yergz Media to sign up for your account today. And in the process of doing so, you're going to show us a little love. Because why not? Sometimes group love is the best. All right, so sorry we have to cut that. There's no way I can pan that down and then cut it, and then it's kind of one of the drawbacks when you use somebody else's system. So, Ken says, I've always wondered if my calls are listened in on. And says, now I'm wondering, are there trigger words to cause this on the phone that I'm using, that I'm listening in on? And he goes on to say, yeah, when you leave me those voicemails from Morgan and Morgan, we might play that today too. I didn't get to that yesterday. Ken left me a funny voice. I get so sidetracked when I get to talking about different things. I meant to tell this. The whole reason why I told about the story was because Ken called me later in the day. Or no, he left a voice message on Messenger later in the day. That was funny as hell. He pretended to be one of the answering service people from Morgan and Morgan. If you were with us about 2 days ago, we took a call on the air that was rather entertaining. Well, let me just say that Ken represents one hell of an answering service. Provides more services than just that. There he says, Yergz, are we going to start using burner phones? Or will that even matter? Depends on what you're talking about. I was on a call this morning. Every Thursday, I'm on this meetup group for content creators. It's a virtual connection, and there's people all over the country and even sometimes all over the world. And we were talking about some of the other things like Signal, which isn't bad. But there's another one. I got to find my to-do list. That's where I took the note. Called Session. If you guys are familiar with Session, that is a more secure method, in part because they don't ask for your phone number, like WhatsApp and Signal each do. And the other thing I learned today, if you use two-factor authentication, never use your phone number. And the reason is, if you use your email instead of your phone number, at least your email access requires a password. For somebody to hack that two-factor authentication, all they need is your phone number. And clearly they need the capability to respond accordingly, but you think the government doesn't have that when they are actually the ones that invented the internet? Not Al Gore. And was back in the late 60s. So burner phones are like the prepaid. That's a good thing to have. And it's burner. So if it's one where you can switch the SIM card, that's as good as switching the phone. Or at least there's still data inside the phone, I suppose. But I guess if you have contacts, that's probably on the SIM card. But then if it's a burner phone, you're probably not putting thousands of people on your burner phone. Depending on what you're talking about, I would say, for example, I won't say how many, but I have multiple phone numbers. And not all of them ring at the same place. Many of them do ring on one device. And that's by design. So think about that too. Hashtag, you've got to be kidding me. Use that for me today, will you? Use that. It doesn't just, if you're making a post, make a post. That's your post. You've got to be kidding me. Hashtag, you've got to be kidding me. I take the apostrophe out because I don't think you can use punctuation other than the hashtag. Yeah, Morgan and Morgan. I don't think he's going to be calling me after that phone call. Hashtag, you've got to be kidding me. So yeah, and speaking of making posts and such, right now, while you're listening, please do this. I was on again with America One Radio, and I'm still on their schedule. But yet, I'm not on the air. At least I wasn't 28 minutes ago. Maybe that's changed. I don't know. I hope it did. I love the station. I love the other programming that's on there. I don't love that we're only 1 hour a day when we have 2 hours of a show, and I'll reach out to them again, but just getting reconnected has been a pain in the ass. I've emailed the guy. I've messaged through the website, and I'm just hoping that maybe if some of you could help me out, help us out. Help out your friends in Atlanta. Call your friends in Atlanta. Tell them we're supposed to be on this website, America One Radio. It's right there. America One, the word, ONE, radio.com. And even if you're conservative and you don't want to help out a progressive station, you're not helping out a progressive station. You're helping out a balanced ecosystem that has your conservative values and exposes you and everyone else to, if nothing else, simply a different opinion. And that's okay. You don't have to agree with the opinion. You don't have to endorse it for your life. Just knowing that there are people who do is all the strength you need that to be provided to you. So go to AmericaOneRadio.com, please. Click on the Contact tab at the top. Last time I checked, it's in the top right. Tell them you want to listen to Up the Middle. It's scheduled Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Why isn't it on? Tell them this is a huge opportunity because Up the Middle left the FM station in Atlanta that we used to be on, and that on Monday, Up the Middle starts in dnrstudios.com, among other networks. We're now with radiox.com.au in Australia, the UG.media on Channel XL, Yergz Radio, Rainbow Radio, KSHP in Las Vegas, WZQR in Pineland, Florida, and growing and growing. So let's get America One Radio back and continue to reach the Atlanta and larger progressive ecosystem. Go back to some comments here. I'm wondering, there are trigger words. I think we know some of them can be like, crazy type things. But there's also some other things that they're listening for. You don't think Morgan will be calling me back? Well, I mean, maybe after I play that clip of the call from the other day on their website or on their Facebook page. Yeah, and that's what I'm wondering. They've got something, because I was on John Morgan's Twitter account, Twitter profile. Derek, welcome back. Good to see you again. Looks like they have Instagram as well. Yeah, I don't doubt it. Thanks, pal. Appreciate it. Derek says, keep fighting the good fight. So, yeah. It was just... it was kind of refreshing to know that we knew in like this game of espionage cat and mouse that we're not even spies, by the way. We're just two journalists or two colleagues, two associates, two drinking buddies. Nobody knows and nobody needs to know. That's need to know. That's what's about being classified. It was a private conversation that wasn't hurting anybody. Anybody. Two old ladies just rattling it off. Yet, multiple times, we were disconnected. Chopped off at the knees. Or at the voice box. All right, when we come back, we're going to, I hate using this word, but I'm going to because it's kind of nerdy. We're going to dive deep. There it is. It's just weird. You know what? I thought I had another one. Where is that? Oh, there we go. Okay. We're going to jump into some of the stories that are circulating and are in discussion right now in lieu of this week's events with Signal. So, we'll do that when we come back. This is the Mastiff Media Network and Up the Middle. See you soon.
What are you doing later? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to the gym, but not just any gym. Momentum Fitness and Wellness. Walk right up to the door. There's a QR code on the door. You can sign up right there. You've got no excuse. But not only that, their equipment is amazing. It's kept up well. It's expanded. There's stretching area. There's CrossFit. There's hardcore training. A dedicated area for stretching, dunk tanks, sauna, everything you need to get that Hernando beach body or keep your Clearwater beach body. You can train with your shirt off, you can scream, you can yell, and you won't be intimidated either. Go to Momentum Fitness and Wellness on US 19 in Bayonet Point, Jasmine Estates. Build the momentum at Momentum Fitness.
DNR Studios. Monday's the day. Doing our soft launch on dnrstudios.com. Can you put that up too? There it is. dnrstudios.com, our next network. And sorry to any of the other networks that didn't get this much publicity. But I'll give it to you as well. You will get you caught up. Radio X in Australia. radiox.com.au. The UG Media, or actually, it's just UG Media. It's not underground. Honestly, I don't know what it stands for. But just remember, because it's London, the underground, the tube. UG Media. UG is underground media. Website is theug.media. Like we're mastiff.media. We're Mastiff Media. Radio X in Australia. And it's not Radio X in the UK, by the way. There's a Radio X in the UK. It's not the same thing. radiox.com.au. theug.media. Channel XL. WZQR.FM. That's our friends in Pineland, Florida, down by Naples. And kshop.com. KSHP. It's kshp.com, not kshop. That's their tagline, but kshp.com. Las Vegas, Nevada. We're not on there right now. We're on there Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Next week starts Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Still, again, just the first hour. If you know of any other stations, let me know. Our first choice, our biggest preference is to join live and simulcasted, which means 11 a.m. Eastern, or whatever time it is, wherever they're at. We recommend going to worldtimebuddy.com to what? worldtimebuddy.com to convert to wherever they may be. And I say that because not every station, obviously, is in the United States. Also, not every listener. We got listeners. We're in about 20 countries right now between this and the fact that our RSS feed is back up and up to date as of 10 o'clock last night on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcast. We take each episode, edit down, cut out like the parts where it lagged. We either eliminate that altogether if we can't bring it back, or last night, I was editing till 10:30 last night, bringing some of those audios. Obviously, my commentary was no longer in it. However, clips that lagged that I played here on my desk that didn't get in solidly, we put back in what would be called post-production. Ooh, was it that pop you just heard? Post. That's called a plosive. Plosive, like explosive. A plosive is when you make a popping sound like that. And the downside to this is the type of microphone that I'm using. I should be talking directly into. But that's when it's more susceptible to hearing a popping sound. All the things you learn when you start looking at this stuff. All right, I'm going to try to pin this down now so I don't just cut it off. $11:39 a.m., 8:39 a.m. on the left coast, 3:39 p.m. out in London, 16:39 in Berlin, 17:39 in Berlin, in Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, Gaza, Kyiv, 18:39 in Moscow, 11:39 p.m. in Perth, 2:39 a.m. 2:39 a.m. There's a little bit of an echo in my empty head that's caused by these headphones, and it gets to me once in a while. 2:39 a.m. Melbourne and Sydney. All right, am I sharing? No, I'm not sharing my screen yet. All right, well, let's set up the right one. I just want to play part of this one clip.
Hey guys, it's Shady Vance, the vice president. And you know, there was so much excitement around Usha's visit to Greenland this Friday that I decided that I didn't want her to have all that fun by herself. And so,
boom, there it is. There is the Republican agenda right there. Women can't do things by themselves. Yes, of course, I know I'm taking this clip out of context. Or am I? You know they're going after abortion. And now, what was I told to call? Oh, there's another name besides private bone spurs. Oh, what was it? Somebody else gave me another name for Donald Trump. Mango Mussolini was one. That was awesome. Mango Mussolini. Private bone spurs. There's another one, though. But now you have to prove citizenship when you register to vote. Isn't that what your ID does when you register to vote? Or how do you prove citizenship if you don't have an ID yet? it's it's like worrying about trans athletes. Remember that? 510,000 student athletes. 510,000. And there are less than 10, not 10,000, less than 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're there already. 9, 10. Less than 10 student athletes that are trans. But that's the campaign issue that we want to chalk up as a win when literally half the states already prevent. Is that today? Yeah, I just missed a call and I didn't even see it. So if you're listening and you were calling in, give us a call back. Certainly happy to take your call. Just realize that in addition to the 40, 50, or 60,000 people listening right now, it's 40 or 50 or 60,001 probably. And we welcome them. We welcome everybody. In fact, let's put that up. Put that across the bottom. That's not going to piss anybody off, I'm sure. Who's listening to our calls? 1-888-88 or 844-GAY LGBT. 813 on Google Voice, 813-358-3836. Let us know if JD Vance is going because he just wants to join his wife, or if she's really not permitted to be a big girl. Because why would she? I'm going to move that over here. That way. I'm just rearranging my desktop, moving the phone system application, something where I'm going to see it a little bit more, and moving something else over that once we start the show, I don't need to have it in my face. So this is about, I didn't share the screen. Sorry. I'm probably going to be editing out a lot of crap that I'm mumbling. Sorry. This is about, it's all about me, Knucklehead, wanting to go with his wife to Greenland. And I figured it out. I think I was talking with Sportcat. The polar caps, as we know, whether you're an environmentalist or not, unless you live under a rock, which is not melting, then you know that to some degree and on some level, the North Pole is melting. And at some point, it will melt so much that it will expose the Northwest Passage that Major Robert Rogers was looking for in the Disney film by the same name. Cutting 20 days off the shipping routes between Asia and the East Coast. But also creating opportunities for drilling oil. off what is the North Atlantic Ocean and the Arctic Circle, and also the Arctic Ocean within the Arctic Circle, shrinking and eliminating the Arctic Circle. That's why he wants Greenland. That's why, Sportcat, if you're listening, that activity that you keep reporting on, check him out in about an hour and 15 minutes from now. There'll be satellite imagery that he keeps reporting on, and he doesn't understand why it's there. That's why it's there, Sportcat. That's why it's there. Northern Alaska. No-fly zones in northern Alaska. Because when there's something there that you want, there's something there that you're going to protect. That's a good saying. I like that. Speaking of sayings, I want to go back also to today's intro, which now is 48 minutes ago. Just cue in on some of the points made in it. There was that young guy in the sport coat and the open collar, clearly a Republican. If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. And he just walks away like he's cooler than everybody else. That's your lesson for the day, kids. I'm a smart guy with a sport coat and an open collar. I'm so cash. Question. Oh, well, let's see how well you were listening. Or who was here 45 minutes ago? One of the two. Who was the first to say and coin the phrase, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear? See what Ken says, the call-in wasn't me. He's heard more times of names for us as well. Some of Orange Satan and Orange Menace. He said Shady Vance, not JD Vance. Yeah, Derek saying that there's been plenty of MAGA distractions. Yeah, I mean, it's a daily. The thing I will credit them on, that whole flood the system or whatever it was that they were calling it, it's flooded. Yeah, deep dive. I don't insure anything. I guarantee it. What's another one? I appreciate you. Piss up a rope, bitch. This microphone. Ken's wondering what kind of microphone you should get. Are you getting into podcasting or broadcasting of any sort, or what do you need the microphone for? This one you see in a lot of radio stations. It's called the EV RE20. EV is the company Electro Voice. They've been making microphones for longer than any of us have been alive. This model is about 55 years old. And it's looks like it's from the 60s. But it is what it is. You know, I sound great. I love using this mic over the Shure MV7s. That's the baby to the SM7B and the SM7 whatever else. The big black Coke can microphone that you see on a lot of podcasts. I didn't want to get that because I didn't want to have. That's why I got the MB7s, is because a USB connection was going to be a lot easier for a non-techie like me. And then I decided again, I got this one instead. But that's the only reason I didn't get the SM7B and got the MB7 instead. And when I did have, the MB7 lets you use XLR, which is this type of connection, or USB. So hopefully that gets you a little started at least on whatever type of mic you should get. We said all that. Orange Caesar is another one. Ken, that might have been when you were switching back and forth between Instagram and what are you on, Facebook? The person who came up with that quote was Hitler henchman Joseph Goebbels. Now, one more reason why you see me associating the Trump administration to Hitler and what I'm calling at least, and apparently Derek too, the Fourth Reich. Yeah, I think it's a little of both, especially Canada. But I do think there's absolute seriousness to it. Look at what's happening. Every conflict in the world right now is over land. Russia is trying to win a penis measuring contest. They got the Crimean Peninsula back during Obama, I think. And unfortunately, he didn't do anything about it. Now they've taken the steps that they've done. And I think it's calculated to a point where, no, they didn't do it under Trump. Because they kind of suspected Trump would lose. So do it under Biden. Get Trump back in the way they did. And I have my reservations on the validity of the 2024 election. Not to have the same sour grapes that the maggots did in 2020. But unlike them, I've actually got something to talk about at minimum, other than it was stolen. And so they're blaming it on Biden, the war in Ukraine. Look at Gaza, the West Bank, Golan Heights, throughout Israel and the Middle East. Look at Taiwan and China. Look at North and South Korea. Scattered throughout the South Pacific. Same thing. All over land. And there's the various strategic reasons for it. China's about ego. That's where the Chinese nationalists fled to after communist China took over on mainland China. And they just want to, for lack of better terms, finish the job. They already got Hong Kong, which used to be specifically British. We got to stop doing this stuff in good faith. The UK gave back Hong Kong in good faith to a China that was behaving then. We got to fight back. Kick Russia out of eastern Ukraine. Kick Russia out of the Crimean Peninsula. Give it back to Ukraine. And then, once martial law is over in Ukraine, that's why there haven't been any elections. Because they're at war. And their own constitution says no elections during martial law. And that makes sense. when half your country is occupied by somebody else? Do you want them voting? Especially because we don't have private bone spurs. Mango Mussolini and his voting restrictions in place, so there's nothing keeping the Russians out of voting in Ukraine. Colonizing is part of it, because after all, we're about our own national socialism, the fascism that is the Trump administration. And again, I don't say that just for good measure. Hang tight. That's all I'm going to say. Read my white paper when it comes out. It'll tell you all you need to know. So there he is in his red, white, and blue. I think that's his nightie. That's what he sleeps in. So this is the other thing. I mean, talking about like surveillance and just all the immature things that this administration does. This is the law firm, especially one of the partners, who aided special counsel Robert Mueller. Right there. Trump signed the order at the White House event. It's got to be an event. Can't you just sign it and get on with, I don't know, maybe being president? It's always got to be an event. It's always got to have his pomp and circumstance and ass kissing. Hey, everybody, my name's Donald Trump and I'm the president. What would you like to buy from me? The latest in a series of measures going after prominent law firms over work they did tied to the myriad of investigations and prosecutions that the president faced during his first term in office and after. The order calls for federal agencies to take steps to, quote, suspend any active security clearances held by individuals at Jenner, pending a review of whether such clearances are consistent with a national interest. It also directs the Office of Management and Budget to identify and halt any government, quote, goods, property, material, and services, end quote, provided for Jenner's benefit. And it calls on government agencies to require contractors to disclose and any business they do with the law firm. That right there is a violation of really the Fourth and Fifth Amendments. As he signed the order, Trump singled out a former partner, Andrew Weissmann, who is the top deputy of Mueller, in his probe into alleged 2016 Russian election interference, calling him the main culprit and a bad guy. Why? Why? It's over. Even though it's probably true, you won anyway. Is this what you need to be spending your time doing as the President of the United States? Or is it possible that your time is better spent elsewhere? Weissmann, on Mueller's team, led the prosecution against Paul Manafort, a former campaign chair for Trump's first presidential run. The order also directs agency heads to limit government workers in their official capacity from engaging with Jenner employees, as well as Weissmann. Weissmann didn't immediately respond to requests for comment. A spokesperson for Jenner and Block said the firm will pursue all appropriate remedies. We remain focused on serving and safeguarding our clients' interests with the dedication, integrity, and expertise that has defined our firm for more than 100 years. Trump, in his second term, has also issued directives against Covington and Burling, revoking security clearances for lawyers who work with special counsel Jack Smith, and against Perkins Coie, which has sued the Trump administration over the president's actions. Paul Weiss, another law firm targeted by the White House, reached an agreement with Trump that saw him withdraw an order stripping them of their security clearances. Paul Weiss agreed to not use diversity and inclusion considerations in its hiring practices and to donate $40 million in pro bono legal services to initiatives supported by the administration. This is what they want, people. Take your knee, kiss the ring, bow down, and let your middle name be bitch. The NSA got busted too. Now, this is not exactly as recent, but I mean, it's where a lot of those phone call taps are coming from. The Brennan Center for Justice also did a study, this time about social media surveillance. Getting back to my phone call and everything else. It's a little after 12. We actually, I don't know. I don't think we have any of those affiliates today, actually. Radio X was still with us. ZQR. Las Vegas isn't with us yet. That's on my list here for next week, but they're not with us yet. So we really wouldn't have lost anybody yet. I do need to take a break, though. So let me do that. When we come back, we'll look through these articles and probably not make it to the whole 2 hours unless you guys get lit up in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to get to doing some chores, edit this video, get food. Oh, I'm hungry. All right. This is Up the Middle. You're either watching or listening, or maybe you've transcendentalized yourself. Is it a word? Is it the right word? Regardless, you're here with us. We'll be back right after this.
What are you doing later? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to the gym, but not just any gym. Momentum Fitness and Wellness. Walk right up to the door. There's a QR code on the door. You can sign up right there. You've got no excuse. But not only that, their equipment is amazing. It's kept up well. It's expanded. There's stretching area. There's CrossFit. There's hardcore training. A dedicated area for stretching, dunk tanks, sauna, everything you need to get that Hernando beach body or keep your Clearwater beach body. You can train with your shirt off, you can scream, you can yell, and you won't be intimidated either. Go to Momentum Fitness and Wellness on US 19 in Bayonet Point, Jasmine Estates. Build the momentum at Momentum Fitness.
There we go. Couldn't figure out why. And no music for my live spots. Speaking of live spots, there's a live spot in my neighborhood. It's the Sea Ranch Civic Association. My local, it's not, in case you're buying here, it's not that type of homeowners association where they tell you what color you can paint your house and all that stupid stuff. There's no surveillance. I mean, we watch out for everybody, but there's a difference. If you don't want anybody to check out your place, nobody will. That easy. But the Sea Ranch Civic Association is a good community organization. It's here in Pasco County. Give them a call at 727-619-4636 or go to mysrca.com and sign up, become a member. They have a bunch of different things here that you don't need to be a member to attend. There's a monthly farmers market. We've had 2 now since starting that up. this coming month on the second set. If it's the same as before, it'll be on the second Saturday of the month, where they do a pancake breakfast. 8 a.m. or 8:30, something like that, to 10 a.m. Second Saturday of the month. When I learn more about it, I'll let you know. I haven't missed one since I moved here. Very first one I've been to, I was there after they closed. The realtor that sold me this house is the vice president of the association, and she was volunteering at it. We were inspecting the house. That set off alarms, literally. The owner of the house called, said, WTF. She came running over. My realtor identified himself, said, yeah, we emailed you, told you. Oh, it's you? Okay. But she came over, dropping every possible formation of the F word possible and enjoying herself in the process. So she realized what a mess she made out of herself, but whatever. Other than that, the Sea Ranch Civic Association is a great place to be. Go to mysrca.com or call 727-619-4636. While you're at it, give me a call too. Sort of. Go to cameo.com/Yergz/book or scan the QR code on your screen. I can read you on a phone call, wish you or a loved one happy birthday. And it would be like, hey, it's yours. Happy birthday. Okay, pay me. No, do something cool. I can answer a question about the Secret Service. Derek, you can ask Secret Service questions. You already got somebody that you can get that answered for free. But everybody else, you got to pay. And Derek isn't getting it free from me. He would have to pay too for anything else, just like everybody else. But go to Cameo. Did you hear that? Or maybe it's the music. Okay. I thought my phone was ringing. There's like a xylophone thing in the background. Funky music's funkying me up. Cameo.com/Yergz/book. All right, before we get out of here, let's talk about some more surveillance. Question is it happening to you? Who's listening to your calls? Who's watching or reading your Insta? Or Facebook? Or Zoom calls? Let me know in the chat. Give me a call, 1-888-88-YERGZ, 844-GAY-LGBT, or on Google Voice at 813-358-3836. Before the break, Ken said, now that made me think of something. Trump make it an event for bragging status. I'm paraphrasing if they stutter while typing. Maybe that's what Dems need to take in a playbook and start getting info out as event-style tactics. Do you lower yourself to their level? Is the question you're asking. And I'm not sure that that's a good idea. We can't be saying that this guy's a tyrant. We can't be saying that this guy's an autocrat. We can't be saying that this guy's got an ego and then go be a tyrant, egotistical autocrat. I think we can call him out on it. He has not said that it's the shipping lanes that he wants, just that he wants Greenland. He said it would be nice.
It would be nice to have Greenland. Was that pretty good? What do you think? I did, for those of you on radio, I did the hands too. The xylophone hands. Ken says, you may have to find some chilled music on the level of Sade. I almost got to see Sade when I was in D.C. She was, I think, in Baltimore or somewhere close to there. But I had to work. But just beautiful voice. Yeah, so he's not saying why he wants the Panama Canal back. He's not saying why he wants to annex Canada, other than they'd be a great 51st state. But they already have multiple provinces, which is our equivalent. So it would not be one state. And that's what I think that's his preference, because that's fewer, not necessarily fewer representatives in Congress, but fewer senators. And the entire country, by definition, is more conservative, is more progressive and more liberal than we are. And so its version of the Democratic Party would clearly be what we'll call more left-happy, left-leaning, left, period. But yeah, we were talking about Tells the other day too. Anytime he does that thing where he stretches, I can't talk and do it at the same time, but he stretches his and tightens his lower lip and stretches it with bringing the corner of his mouth down, exposing his lower teeth. That's one of his tells, that he's telling a whopper and that he should stop talking. So I'll wrap up with some of the other articles I found about government surveillance. Bunch of different things from the ACLU. You can check that out at aclu.org. The National Security Agency's mass surveillance has greatly expanded in the years since September 11th, 2001. You know, that was actually something else. That was actually something else I wanted to Google and put up. If I remembered, I can do it now quickly, and the link to it will be in the show notes. Is something that came in early in my career called the Patriot Act. Cast. Uniting and strengthening America by providing appropriate tools required to intercept and obstruct terrorism, Act of 2001. Wow, that's the name? Commonly known as the Patriot Act. Was a landmark law enacted in the aftermath of September 11th attacks aimed at enhancing national security by expanding law enforcement's surveillance powers. So I was asked about that as a new agent. Oh, little baby yawn there. Sorry. I was asked about that as a new agent. And my response was, I don't care who you're screwing. And I've learned that there are people who do. And they think that whatever issue in your private life is their business too. Now, I get that there's certain positions within government that have to be protected from opportunities of blackmail. I get that, and I support that. I agree with that. But my story was the third time the Secret Service investigated me. And again, all three times I could prove that the purpose of the investigation
was to expose and try to humiliate me for my sexuality, which was a huge fail on all parts. They never did. Didn't care. Never will. There was a photo of me and an ex, and he was an ex at the time. It was after the fact, after the relationship, after the fact, that they brought to the interview and tried to shame me by showing me this photo, that they were able to get it. I wish you could have seen the look on his face when I asked the straight agent presenting me with the photo if he wanted any better ones. That was a hard response to swallow. I proceeded to tell them I'm not ashamed of who I am and how God made me. He couldn't put that photo enough. He couldn't put that photo away fast enough. Apparently, I can't speak slow enough. But yeah, I was investigated, as I was able to prove, regarding my sexuality 3 times during my Secret Service career. 2 times during Trump 1.0. No, he's not weaponizing anything. Now, did Donald Trump sit in the Oval Office and say, that Yergz, that fag, prove that he's a fag and get him out of my government? No, wasn't quite like that. Slow down a little bit. But what he did do was create the environment where my bosses at headquarters were comfortable saying that. And because unlike them, I got to crack my back. Because unlike them, I have the realization that we as an agency and we as employees of the Secret Service are not only members of the law enforcement community, but are also members of the intelligence community. And sometimes, sadly, for our own preservation, we need to act like it. What does that mean? Little known secret. 2 of the 3 investigations I knew about before they started. The first one happened on my time on the Clinton detail, which ranges from 2007 to 2010. Almost 3 years to the day. I think I fell a little shy. The boss there wanted to get rid of me as soon as possible. Later that summer, the Clintons got rid of him. But one of the bosses, one of the lower level supervisors, started asking other agents if they knew that I was gay. And if it bothered them, or at minimum, how they felt about it. This was during the Obama administration, when actual patriotic Americans were still protected from lines of questioning like that. And so when I got wind of it, I went to that supervisor, and said that it's come back to me without saying who brought it back to me. It's come back to me that so-and-so supervisor is having these casual conversations. They will either stop, and yet another time where I had to leverage something to come off a long string of midnight shifts. So I did. Or we will have a conversation during daytime working hours on a much more official capacity. I turned around and walked away. I said that this was like on a Wednesday or Thursday, something like that. It was like middle of the week. I was just approached by one of those two agents on a road trip in the hotel lobby out of town. The guy was essentially crying. He was teary-eyed. He was shaking. That's how much it bothered him that they would do this, because they did it to him later. He was very tatted with his body art and tattoos to a point where even as an agent, which I think was probably a little extreme on his part, but not going to judge. He might be a dick Trump supporter now, but he was a good agent then. He may have erred as far as image goes by working some of those tattoos up his neck and down his arms onto the back of his hands and eventually onto his head. But I appreciated the heads up nevertheless. As I was walking away from that supervisor, saying that this is going to stop or we're going to escalate, I turned back and I said, the schedule comes out on Friday. I will be on day shift for a while. And I walked away. Schedule came out on Friday. I was on day shift. The other two times, however, was not within my assignment, was not within my post of duty. They actually came from headquarters. The first time I got a call, I think it was the Department of Interior. Who investigates Hatch Act violations? Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was the Department of Interior, but okay. It says here, Office of Special Counsel. I received a call from, there you see it, Office of Special Counsel, with regards to their investigation of Hatch Act violations and the pro-Hillary Clinton posts I made on an app called Tumblr. Now, if you think you can find porn on Twitter, go look for it on Tumblr. It is the less regulated by its ownership counterpart to Twitter and Threads and True Social, etc. My account, my account will use air quotes into the camera, was nothing but gay porn, which I was impressed with. It's quite a collection. Oh, headbutt to the microphone. I was impressed with it. It was a good collection. And a bit jealous, to be honest, because I wish the collection of porn
that they used to falsely create my account on Tumblr, a platform I didn't even know about at the time. I wish I had it. Do you know what the investigator from the special counsel said? She laughed and said, "We get this a lot." And that was the end of that investigation. I knew something was coming because they talked about it at headquarters. Now, remember when I said we are also members of the intelligence community? Here's where that's going to come full circle. I had developed a contact in the director's office after the Clinton investigation done by my immediate supervisor, which was in the 2007 to 2010 window. The next one came as T. Rump was investigated, should have been investigated. The next one came as T. Rump was inaugurated somewhere in early 2017. The third one came right as Biden was being inaugurated, but I knew started, again because of this person, at the end of the Trump administration. So not only did I know they were coming, I was essentially ready because I knew the first one was going to be a Hatch Act violation. I knew the second one was going to be this one particular video that circulated during the, actually that was part of it, but it was a video that circulated during the course of the events of the Biden administration, where this kid comes down from Pennsylvania and stays in some agent's hotel, hooks up with an agent, and does this panoramic thing with his phone to showing all the Secret Service gear hanging in the background. Because he was proud of himself for having just hooked up with a Secret Service agent. Here's what those investigators were not expecting when they asked me if I knew this kid. First of all, the event happens. He posts the video to TikTok. I get a call, probably moments later, from another agent who I used to date. I found out that, according to him, we're no longer friends, but whatever. And he says to me, "Was it you?" Not, "Hey, how you doing? Been a while. Thought I'd catch up since we're both in town," because he was not in DC anymore either. Just, "Was it you?" I didn't know what he was talking about yet, at least as far as the video. I knew that the government was going to come after me because of a car loan that USAA helped me default on. And that's irrelevant. It's paid off. I own the van outright now, but they tried to use that against me too. Just, "Was it you?" And he explains to me the situation of the video, sends me the video. I start laughing. First thing I noticed, well, in no particular order. There's a particular order because I want to save the best for last. One thing that I noticed was that when he did the panoramic view of his hotel room, it was not my hotel room. And so the first thing that I did when I got off was I said, "Here's my room. Doesn't look anything like the one in the video. Must not be me." I thanked him for the info. I was livid. I was still all worked up because according to him, everybody's saying I'm the agent
that got hooked up with. Here's the best part. I knew the kid. He's a friend of mine. I can call him right now. He's on my phone. I was the agent that he came down and stayed with. And I hooked up with him. And still, no, I'm not ashamed of it. He's a good-looking kid. Probably young enough to be my kid. It's a fun time. But given his youth and his virility and my long hours, I was day shift and was doing it like at least 13-hour days on the parade route. Matrix is dreaming. He got bored. So he went to go hook up again. He's allowed. We're not dating. He's not mine. So when he got on Grindr, there were so many gays so close to our hotel room. And I say our hotel room because he was welcome to be there. That it maxed out within 1 mile from our hotel. He couldn't go out any further than that. There were too many. Pride events in DC don't do that. Well, when he showed me the info that he had on the guy he hooked up with, I knew the guy. The GS-15 supervisor from the Secret Service. And I met his wife, and I met his kids. Now, imagine when I gave that threat, promise, back to the investigator. And the look on his face then. All right, gang, that is going to be it for today. We're going to end a little shy of the 2 hours, but over our hour promised mark for Thursdays. Thanks to everybody in the chat for keeping us awake, keeping us moving. Thanks to everybody who joined on Instagram. I see my one buddy, eRead111, isn't there anymore, but I saw him come on during my hookup story, my TikTok. Ken says, wow, I'm rolling on the floor. Yeah, Mark and I were too. These times are actually going to be just, just remember it's 11 a.m. Eastern, and use worldtimebuddy.com to figure it out for wherever it is you are. And we'll see you again tomorrow. As Ken always says, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and tell a friend, gang. We're building a community here within the intelligent media ecosystem. That's it. Thanks for getting off the porch and running with the big dogs. We'll see you again tomorrow for Friday Fights. See you then.